Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Matt Pomrink on the line. He's president over at Edgebrook Advisors. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam. I've been looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, man, so excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about healthcare business growth partnerships. But before we do that, let's go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Edgebrook Advisors. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure. We provide tailored growth services, primarily for startup to mid-sized healthcare solution companies. And, these are companies that are typically addressing areas such as patient access, patient engagement, scheduling, and payments. And, the scope of our services vary based on their needs. It could be new market development, partner programs, product strategy, operations management. We'll even do some outsourced executive leadership.
That's awesome, and that's why I want you on the show for this healthcare business growth partnerships. I mean, there's just so much opportunity in the healthcare space. Where do you want to start with this topic? Gosh,
it is, right? It's quite an active topic right now with everything going on. But, with a lot of the companies that we work with, when you think about growth through partnerships, it really is a bit of a different mindset from the traditional hiring and using a hunter. Working in enterprise software for many years, that was certainly the approach, and it still is in many cases an effective strategy. But that can be really challenging for younger companies, especially in the healthcare solution space, where you often need multiple pilots and case studies, and you're also dealing with longer sales cycles and restricted budgets, which of course is being accentuated right now based on the environment that healthcare companies are working within. The other challenge is, oftentimes those big hunters, they often have extensive resources to pull from. So you think about having pre-sales teams and folks pulling together presentations, and you have supportive discussion through industry leads and subject matter experts, and you have people helping with business development. And, the reality is many startups can't afford that, and they need versatility in their approach and resources. So oftentimes you really need, partnership-oriented thinking and approaches, more solution-oriented and more relationship-based.
So what does that look like? So walk me through, and you don't have to use a specific company, but if I'm a healthcare startup and I'm thinking and I'm listening to this right now and I'm like, well, Matt has a point, but we all know that we're strapped for cash. The bigger players have more resources than us. We know that, but we still have this mission. How do partnerships help me?
Sure. Yeah, it is. It's, that never goes away. That's a persistent theme with limited budgets. When you think about the partnership approach and the type of people, there's a few things that need to be in place when you think about your business and your offerings first. And I kind of think of it in three main principles. So first of all, when you're thinking about a partnership approach and then the kind of people, the reality is, both parties have to have a distinct value in the solution or service that's being positioned, right? If you don't have that, it won't really matter who you have on your team or as a resource. For a sustained relationship, there has to be that mutual value. And I think sometimes companies get a little excited about the idea of partnerships, based on the name or stature of a company. But, if you're not providing value, it can be short-lived. The second aspect that needs to be in place is you got to have some equal footing. So when you have a situation where you have kind of like a subordinate, parent-subordinate relationship, that can be really difficult, and when you have that constant fear of replacement. And the third one is there's got to be clarity on what you're trying to accomplish, metrics and accountability. And those are fundamental aspects that have to be in place. And when you think about the type of people that you need, typically it's someone that has a stronger solution background, understands the particular space you're in, perhaps had some product management experience, strong relationship skills, but someone that manages their approach, with a positive demeanor. And that means confidence, but not over aggressiveness. And those are traits that we typically see as being the most effective in that type of role. And of course, someone that's very resourceful, because like I mentioned many times, especially with young companies, you don't have the resources available, and they can't be supplemented, so they have to be pretty self-sufficient.
How does a young startup or younger company go about even kind of starting? So there may be some people listening that are like, I would like to go down that route, but I don't really know where to begin. We've been working in this business for a while now, and we haven't really considered that as an option. But now we're probably at the stage to where maybe of those three things that you mentioned, maybe they now do have some footing there. How does somebody even start out going down that path?
Yeah, sure. I mean that, obviously there's some work internally that can happen around the value of the solution and understanding what that is and the impact, and then how it might relate to other companies that could be complementary. I think that's kind of the first foundational thing that you could do. And I'll give you, an example would be if, let's say there's a company that's in patient scheduling, and they think there's opportunity to work with another company that might focus more on the payment side. Well, there's a relationship there that can be had, but you really have to have clarity on how does the solution you provide map with another solution that's complementary that drives, value from a B2B standpoint, but also from a B2B to the customer standpoint. So having and knowledge around that, understanding the value, that is really the first primary step. Finding people, it is always challenging. It really is. And I think some of it's changing that mindset around how you look for a person that has those skill sets. And of course, there's, many search firms that can support that process. Oftentimes, through your network and through the types of relationships that a lot of these entrepreneurs have, that can be really useful, leveraging some of the advisors that they might have to say, look, I understand what you're trying to accomplish, knowing that there are different people that have those skill sets around understanding solution strategy and being able to talk to a particular complementary company and really talk more about the value and focusing on that versus in the first conversation, let's set our revenue target for the next 3 quarters, right? So it is a little bit of a different approach. It does at times can take a little bit longer, but it really does drive sustained value. And the other thing is seeing this right now actually with the current environment. So there's some healthcare solution companies that we're working with that, look, they're being contacted by some of the larger healthcare systems that they're working with because, number one, they've been trusted, right? So they're trusted in times of chaos like now. Companies often go to those relationships where it's trust-based. And that's a big thing that's happening when you think about some of these companies trying to address, for example, COVID-19 testing and this massive rise in telehealth, right? It's kind of playing out right now that having the longer-term, stronger relationships that are more partner-focused, it's playing out where folks are being contacted to support some of these newer approaches.
That's awesome. So, Matt, if somebody's listening to this, and they want more information on Edgebrook Advisors. First, what are the right types of companies and or startups to contact Edgebrook that are typically a good fit? And number 2, how do they connect with you and your team?
Sure. Like I said, in terms of profile, really we work with startup to what I would say mid-sized healthcare solution companies. Could be addressing a variety of specific areas like patient access or engaging with patients, scheduling, payments, those types of functions those are great companies that we typically will work with. And we can be reached through our website, which is edgebrookadvisors.com. Through LinkedIn, you can also find us. And, of course, feel free to reach out to me directly, Matt@edgebrookadvisors.com.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work you're doing over at Edgebrook Advisors, and also, how these healthcare startups out there can think about growing their business through strategic partnerships. So great stuff there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Matt, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.